Alright, so Gumball kicked off Season 6 a while ago with its first episode, and I want to show you guys why it's a perfect average episode. Ayo, what is up everyone? It is the ALPHAJ of the ALPHAJ Show, and let's talk Gumball. A lesser talked about episode from Season 6, the premiere. It really intrigued me because I have been critical about both Season 5 and 6 for shifting its comedic fundamentals and pandering a little bit to the masses a little too much, and not really forging its own path, the latter being the reason why I enjoyed Gumball so much. So let's just jump into it. The episode starts out 4 years ago, and it has a lot of comedy bits in what is a very intense scene. Obviously, we have a younger Nicole carrying what is to be an Anais about to be born. I actually have no issue with the beginning. I actually find it to be mostly okay. The dynamic of Richard just trying to figure out all this parenting stuff, while Nicole balances a rainbow of emotions, makes for great entertainment, really. The issue with me actually comes with what we generally come for Gumball for, the comedy.
I, for one, cannot wait to meet our new little sister. I know, right? It'll really improve our game of knights and princesses.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to play comedy master, but as a close follower of the show, one thing I really enjoyed about the show was that it took jokes like this that we've heard all before in many cartoons, even ones that air right beside Gumball, even if it isn't on the same network, and put a unique spin on it. Gumball strived to be different, unpredictable, unique, and I do understand that not every episode can be a home run, but when you have a constant streak of episodes that have this exact same problem, you cannot necessarily call it an isolated case. When I can come away knowing what the jokes are before they're told, personally it takes me out of the experience, and while I try not to weigh this criticism heavily considering that younger children who may watch this may not have heard the joke as many times as I have, it really just makes me think about how the writers seem to be falling back on the tried and tested to streamline episodes out, when they were better than that. Now, with that said, there are a lot of jokes that do land.
Okay, we used the drive-thru.
There isn't a drive-thru at the hospital!
Push! Congratulations! There is now!
I do also have to commend those who put hours into the craft, because these episodes, Season 6, the production quality is fantastic, and they aren't afraid to show it. I'm noting the beginning shot where they're so close to the street and it makes you feel like you're on a real street, but these are animated characters, and the seamless integration of all the different animation styles show. In fact, looking back at previous seasons, you can tell there were obvious improvements, and that's a really good thing. The only concern I have is that although the previous seasons had great comedy, writing, and character development to fall back on, I am afraid that Season 6 may have run out of that magic. Oh wait, Darwin may have given you a fresh supply just now. Ah! Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it now! Wait, no. What are you doing? You can't shoot a baby here. I get demonetized. But getting back to this, I definitely enjoy how the scene was shot. It left you in anticipation, knowing very well that although you have seen Anais before, the true surprise was her "I'm going to murder you while you clip your toenails" look, and thus pushing Gumball and Darwin out into wet concrete. So the creators of Gumball recruit 2 replica Charlie Browns, and we get to complicated comedy conflict number 2, the extreme edgy edition. The type of comedy that you need to cover your parents' eyes for, because it's just that real.
There's no way Anais would have pushed us out of the car on purpose. You know why? Because all babies are born innocent.
And if you thought all babies were born innocent, check out these baby sharks eating each other before they're even born.
You know, this episode is really interesting when I get to go and then the opposite happens. Let me check something. I see. Yep, I see it right here, as you can see from this totally not doctored image. Butch Hartman wrote for this. I should have known. But again, the comedy seems so predictable, and it takes me out of the experience. I feel like old Gumball would have subvert this and make it seem like it will be played straight, but then cross that when you think the expected twist will happen, kind of creating a double twist. What made the shippening, for example, so funny was that it went from seeing actual OCs that exist, which was already a surprise, to seeing carrion Gumball, and as the fan of the show, you can see how shocking that would be, to seeing an anime version of Gumball and Darwin. The escalation of how far the show will go is what made Gumball so great to watch. See the situation like this. If you knew what was coming all the time, how could you be caught off guard? A big part of comedy is the unexpected, whether it's a classic wallets gag in SpongeBob where we learn at the very end that the box was full of wallets, or the classic hoopla joke where the narrator throws a brick at a child. It works because initially you don't expect it, and the reaction to the surprise is priceless. Just putting a random reference may impress some fans who are aware of it, but considering that we've already seen this in the Matchmaker, you can see where I'm coming from. When I say that the writers tend to lean on certain techniques instead of experimenting more, you can say that because the show is established. And maybe to some people, it doesn't need to experiment because it's already on top and it's at the forefront if the CN schedule is to say anything. But I would actually counter that by saying this is the best time to experiment. It should understand that it has the freedom to actually do at least some experimentation and keep the show fresh. You never know when a great joke would happen that they otherwise would have not found if they didn't experiment and venture. Heck, with the size and sub count that I have, I still experiment. Now, not all of these experiments work, some things just don't really pop off, but I do learn why and I use that information to not do so bad next time. With this next joke, I actually didn't really mind. Like I said before, I try not to go into any episode just looking for things to criticize and trying to criticize everything, because then you start to look for negativity when it isn't really there. I do think that the topic of death gets tossed around on Gumball, and it's pretty on the line as far as censorship goes. I mean, yes, there was a deleted scene involving a shot collar, which if I can get my hands on, I'll definitely talk about. But death is also something that on Cartoon Network isn't just freely tossed around. Now we get to possibly one of the biggest reasons I wanted to tackle this episode. This joke, I've seen it on Twitter a lot, and honestly, like with the shipping, people just keep taking that one scene with the OCs and sharing it, just like with this scene right here.
We close our eyes and count, and you hide. Ready? 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Ready or not, here we come. That was terrifying. Yeah, well, at least your soul was going upwards.
I don't enjoy being a killjoy, but I've seen this done better on SpongeBob, and I'm sure Gumball. The show has made jokes about not having a soul before, I'm pretty sure. And to those who may not watch Gumball, I'm sure you laughed. You may have thought the joke was funny, and I'll not take that away from you. You should laugh. If you think this is a good joke and you think this is a good episode, please don't let me take that away from you. However, as a concerned fan, this joke symbolized to me one of my major problems with where the show went as far as these last 2 seasons. When I watched the show, not every episode would have a joke like this where it would try to push the limits of how far it would go, despite there being at least 3 in this episode, one of them being an airbag baby joke that I honestly didn't have too much to say about. Now, does every episode in season 6 have this limit pushing joke? Of course not. That's easily debunkable if I made that claim. But it is one, count it, one of the major problems I have. And the issue I have is that the frequency of these jokes increase. And when you know you can't air anything offensive, it seems like you're pressing against the ceiling, hoping for a similar reaction, and it honestly gets tiring. I'm fatigued from these kind of jokes. What made them special is that you would not know when they're coming, and for me, this is a joke that fell flat, but also because I already knew jokes like this become frequent because those who don't watch the show eat it up, I mentally facepalm because I thought Gumball was better than this. But there are parts of the episode in which I do enjoy and think that season 6 does really well, and I think it's only fair to focus on that as well. So with the cement, implication of death, and actual attempt, Gumball and Darwin try to fight fire with fire, and it is a logical escalation from the initial confusion and disbelief that there was a malicious attempt. I do enjoy how it backfires almost immediately, as it gives variation to the different ways that Gumball and Darwin try to de-escalate. Jeez, I said that word so many times in the script. Maybe I need a new word. De-alphalate this situation. They have a conversation with Nicole and Richard, and I also found it to be just right with the emotions, jokes, and shot composition. I also enjoyed the baby talk from Anais, but to anyone who's watched The Incredibles 2, Jack has kind of set the bar high when it comes to that. To be clear, not taking anything away from this episode because of that though. As we learn, with subtle hints carefully placed throughout the episode that I enjoy, Anais still has tendencies to be as absent-minded as a child, and as Gumball and Darwin believe they trapped Anais in a box, it backfires when the garbage man collects the box for the dump. I love the run towards the dump, by the way. I don't want to spoil the climax too much, but if I were to say one thing, movie. It definitely keeps up the standard that Gumball climaxes generally have. I think it reminds me a lot of the helmet from season 1, even down to the location, which has been used multiple times before. With this one, there was a bit of creativity and it did feel like an improvement from the initial time we've seen this location used. Even though we're painfully aware of the fact that a child is not in the box, the fact that Gumball's life was at risk made the climax work. All in all, a great segment of the episode, but the story being great doesn't substitute the lackluster comedy in certain spots of the episode, in my opinion. I'm personally glad if you laugh through the entire thing, like I've said before, but for me, it didn't hit me. Maybe I don't have a high enough IQ. Wait, that's the wrong show. Gumball and Darwin just barely save the box that they think have their newborn sis in. But I do have to say, if we're gonna be morbidly honest here, when Darwin dropped the box here, Anais is done. She's dead. We don't know how high the drop is, but a baby would have suffered incredible damages. In the words of me when I play an FPS and I watch a teammate peek through the door knowing that the enemy may be on the other side, they dead. They see Anais is not in the box but behind them very well, and the episode ends as so.
Yes?
Gumball did it!
Huh?
And that was The Rival. I honestly don't think it's a good or bad episode. It's good in some aspects, but terrible in others. And it's a part of a lackluster streak of episodes that it has an interesting concept, but the execution isn't really interesting. Honestly, that's okay though. I would go back to watch it, it just wouldn't be really high on my list, even when it comes to season 6. But I want to know what you think of the episode. Did you really like it or hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Special thanks to the patrons that support me in the month of June. Make sure to follow me at the ALPHAJ Show on Twitter and go into my requested video for any other topic you think I should cover. If you really like this video, you should definitely check out my entire Gumball playlist, especially my Puppets review. That one I enjoyed quite a bit. Make sure to subscribe and I'll talk to you guys next time. I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.